Thank you for joining us. I'm Richard Peritz, and our guest today is described as one of the most outstanding and dedicated community and business leaders in the world. He's an inspiration right here in the United States and worldwide, from Haiti to Israel and Ecuador and other countries. Our guest, Mr. Harris Rosen, will tell us about the interesting path that led him to where he is today, right after these messages. With us now is Mr. Harris Rosen. Mr. Rosen, it's a real pleasure and a privilege to have you on the Shalom Show.
Thank you so much. A pleasure to be here.
Thank you, sir. You've done so much for the Jewish community in Central Florida and so much for many organizations everywhere, but we'll get to those later. Tell us about your support for the local community where you have your hotels here in Florida.
I'm not so sure that I've done so much. But let me share with you a philosophy that I have that happened maybe about 20 years ago. My grandparents came from Eastern Europe. We settled in the Lower East Side of Manhattan, where I was born. Not a gated community, but where many Eastern Europeans settled. And I've been blessed beyond anything that I ever imagined, from the Bowery to International Drive and Universal Boulevard here in Florida. And our little company now has grown to 7 hotels and 6,500 rooms, and with the prospects of being able to add perhaps another 500 to 1,000 rooms. And so grateful am I for this wonderful country giving me this opportunity that about 20 years ago I sat down and said it was time to really demonstrate that gratitude in real terms, not just by saying thank you, but with some real initiatives. And so we decided that education was really something that was very important. It got myself and my brother out of the neighborhood. And we created a number of initiatives. And we have maintained, through the Rosen Foundation, support for these initiatives, and continue to expand the Foundation's philanthropy. Recently, we did build a Jewish community center with a school, and we're very proud of that facility. We have contributed to various projects in Israel, and we're very proud of that also. But here in Orlando, the Rosen College, the YMCA, our Tangelo Park initiative have all been initiatives that have come about because of our desire to demonstrate how appreciative we are.
And it is said that you are just about the most generous individual, more so than Disney. But I don't want to put you on the spot and discuss that with you. Tell us about events and things that you've been supporting in Israel.
Well, we built a small elementary school in one of the kibbutz about 15, 20 years ago. We have contributed to the Jewish National Fund on a regular basis. And we have purchased a fairly substantial number of bonds over the years. It wasn't until very recently that we actually went to Israel and saw some of the results of our initiatives, and we were very proud of that.
We're back with Harris Rosen. Sir, I'd like to change topics and get into more positive subject matter and talk about the great things you are doing here again. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about, actually not necessarily here in Orlando, but you were helping the people in Haiti. Tell us about your experiences there.
Thanks for asking the question. Of the 4,500 associates we have, a third of them are from Haiti, and so we have fallen in love with our Haitian brothers and sisters. And we've been going to Haiti for about 15 years with a multitude of offerings. We went with school supplies one year, and we delivered them to the schools. We went with healthcare supplies, and we delivered them to clinics and hospitals. In fact, in one of our trips fairly recently, we were delivering water filtration systems, each system capable of providing clean, potable water for about 1,000 people. We delivered 220 of them. And our group of 3, as they were traveling through the countryside with several of our systems to deliver them to communities, were kidnapped. And we actually paid a ransom to have them safe again. It's okay. We have wonderful friends in Haiti, and we love our Haitian neighbors. After the earthquake, which was horribly devastating, I was just sitting at my desk and doodling, and did a little house, and said what they need more than anything in Haiti right now are new domiciles, place to live, get them out of tents as quickly as we can. And so we went to several builders and we said, can you build this little house? And it must withstand winds over 150 miles an hour. And it must accommodate up to 6 people, a mom and dad and 4 children. And it must have a toilet and a shower and several sinks. And it must have some solar energy capacity. And it must not cost more than $5,000. And so we actually did a house. And we displayed it at a home and garden show at the convention center. And it was a huge success. And we raised some money, and I put a little money in, and we now have about $700,000 in the bank. And what occurred to me was that just building a village of homes was not going to be sufficient, because there had to be some way that these little villages could be independent, self-sufficient. And I said, why can't we do Haitian kibbutzes? Why can't each one of our little Haiti house villages have fish ponds so that people can fish? So we're building fish ponds, tilapia. Why can't we have fruits, mangoes and papaya and coconuts? Why can't we have little farms with chickens and goats and pigs? Why can't we grow grains and corn? And so what we have created is a wonderful little Haiti house, La Petite Maison de Haiti village, self-sufficient, like the Israeli kibbutz. People work and thrive and sell any surplus produce on the market and create a bank. We will sell the homes because the government officials said that we need to sell the homes, but they didn't tell us what kind of mortgage arrangements, and so we've developed a 100-year mortgage at 1% interest. And so we are selling them indeed, but it's about $50 a year. And the funds that come back, the payments that come back, will be put in a bank that we'll create, and that bank will offer microloans at 1% interest. So if there are, generally women are the beneficiaries of microloans. Bangladesh is where it started. If they have a little business where they're weaving something or knitting something, we'll provide them with $100 or $200 or $1,500 at 1% interest. And so it is a complete cycle. And I envision that one day it is possible for us to have hundreds and hundreds of these little villages. I can't fund them all myself, but what's happening is that people are hearing about our concept, waiting for the first village, taking a look at that prototype, and then offering us money. We've spoken to the Gates Foundation, to the Clinton Foundation. We've spoken to Doris Buffett. We've had the Canadian government come and visit with us and offer to subsidize a village. And the Catholic Church recently visited with us, Archbishop Wensky, and they have some land, and they are going to permit us to do our first village on a Catholic property. And so the bishop and I were talking and saying, isn't that interesting? We've got Wensky and Rosen, we've got Catholic and a Jew working together. And he said, no, that's not unusual, Harris. We both grew up in New York, you in Brooklyn and Lower Manhattan, me in the Bronx. And I remember there was a store in our neighborhood, a clothing store, and it was Kennedy and Cone. And it was the only store in the neighborhood, which was for the most part a Catholic neighborhood, that was able to be open 7 days a week, because Cone worked on Sunday and Kennedy worked on Saturday.
Delightful story. Delightful.
So now we've got Wensky and Rosen in Haiti, and we'll be open 7 days a week there also.
And God willing, your concept may be actually integrated in other countries too, because there's poverty all over the place. That's
interesting. We've already gotten calls from Zimbabwe, from Nigeria, from Chile, and from Peru, asking if we can't please make available our little homes in those countries. And the conversation we had with our African friend was, all we ask you to do, because we love the little house, please make it mosquito-proof. Because malaria is a terrible problem. As it turns out, it's a problem in Haiti also. So we have now taken a step to screen the house so that mosquitoes can't enter. So one day, this little house may be all over the world.
And a great achievement that is. And speaking of achievements, before we end, tell our audience what is unique about the Rosen hotels.
Well, I don't think anything is unique about it. We started with a little 256-room Quality Inn, which I bought in June 24th, 1974. So we're about 37 years old. I'm intimately involved in the business. I see virtually each of our hotels on a regular basis. My two grandfathers, one Russia, one Austrian, both of whom had businesses in New York and lost everything during the Depression, told me one day that business was in my genes. I thought my pants. I didn't understand what they meant, but they said, don't ever borrow any money. So I don't know if you've seen Shingle Creek, this property, no debt, no mortgages whatsoever. So there's a huge advantage in the marketplace. While others are struggling, and my heart goes out to them to pay their principal and interest payments and all of their other bills, we're not saddled with any of that debt. So it's a tremendous advantage that we have. But I did want to share one more comment with you, because you had mentioned Tangelo Park. Let me tell you this. I'm going to be in Washington, D.C. talking about our Tangelo Park initiative. And my hope is that it will spread throughout the United States and maybe the world. In this little neighborhood, which is a disadvantaged neighborhood, 99% African American, we have made preschool available for all of the 2-, 3-, and 4-year-olds in the neighborhood by building 10 little preschools, each one accommodating 6 students. And so all of our kids start school at 2. By the time they enter kindergarten at 5 and they're tested, 70% of them are tested as gifted because they have this wonderful advantage. So one would create this little preschool component. We mentor the kids, we watch them, we tutor them, we're there for them, we're there for their parents, we have special seminars for their parents, and right through kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, and then high school, we watch them and we make sure that they're doing as well as they can. 100% of our kids graduate from high school, which in a disadvantaged neighborhood is unheard of. The general percentage is around 30–35%. Of those, 85% start a 4-year college and they graduate. Unheard of in today's world, even in the most affluent neighborhoods. The return on investment, and so we've invested a certain amount of money, the return to society is about $8 for every dollar I invest. If every disadvantaged neighborhood in the United States of America had this kind of program, we would wake up one day and not recognize America. We would have to close prisons because crime at Tangelo Park is down almost 60%. We'd have to expand educational opportunities in college because all of our kids graduate from high school and 85% of them go on and graduate from college. We would need another 1 million slots throughout the United States for colleges. these youngsters would go out and get jobs and generate revenue, and our economy would start to boom. And so my goal as I go to Washington, D.C., is to convince other people like me to create in their backyard a little Tangelo Park program. And when I was in Ecuador recently, I spoke to the Chamber of Commerce and said, why don't you guys do something like this? You're all businessmen, and what you're doing essentially is creating larger markets for yourself. So you could construe this as being a rather selfish initiative. And so that's another one of my dreams. Of course, we'd like to see our little Haiti house throughout the world. We'd love to see Tangelo Park throughout the world. And I suspect that as we continue to move on in this life, we'll continue to do things that we think are worthwhile.
Well, sir, you've been described as an inspiring community leader and business leader, and I can see why. It's been a real pleasure and a privilege having you on the show. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
I'll be right back. This brings us to the end of our special show for today from on location at the fabulous Rosen Center Hotel in Orlando, Florida. I'm Richard Peritz. Thank you for being with us.